Welcome to the Microsoft Office add-ins community call for September 9th. This is the call where we'll share everything that's new in the world of Office add-ins and Office extensibility. Got a lot on the call today. We're going to talk about the new dialog APIs, some news about the new PowerPoint APIs that are coming out, and we're going to have a customer story and demo from Infor, DEPM. So let's get started. Please remember that this call is being recorded. We'll post this on our developer channel later, so please keep your microphones muted. If you have a question, feel free to type it in the chat. We've got members of the product team on the call as well to answer your questions as we go along. Then we'll do a little Q&A wrap up near the end. But first of all, our presenters for the day. But we have a little special announcement about Microsoft Ignite. So Dana, do you want to talk to this?
Hey everyone, welcome to the call today. So Microsoft Ignite is coming up September 22nd through the 24th. It is a digital event only. It will look a little bit different this year because it's digital. Registration opened last week, so you can get registered at ignite.microsoft.com. The session scheduler will be live tomorrow on September 10th, and you'll be able to start adding sessions after you're registered for that live portion. And then in addition, we are launching what we're calling the virtual hub, where there will be content, conversation, and connections, and it will have links and information on deep dive technical trainings for IT pros, developers, champions, whatever you are interested in, and it will be across a variety of topics. We'll have a lot on the Microsoft 365 and Teams platform on the developer side, but then there will also be additional content in a whole bunch of other areas. And that will be live on September 22nd, which is when Ignite starts. And that's at aka.ms/virtual hub. And I'll put those into the chat so that you can get registered and start building out your schedule.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana. Yeah, and we'll have a couple Office add-in specific sessions there, so be sure to check out the scheduler. If you have any questions that you want to bring to the product team, they'll be there as well. So without further ado, let's hop into the call proper. So we're going to start off with the new dialog APIs. And Lillian, you ready to talk to us about these?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. So my name's Lillian. I'm a program manager on the team, and I specialize in UX. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about Message Child. So this is a dialog API. So traditionally, we've had an API called Message Parent, which allows the dialog to talk to your task pane parent. However, we never had the reverse, so we never had that full loop. What that meant was if you wanted to communicate back to your dialog, you would have to go through other channels, and one of the common ones was through local storage. So we've had a lot of feedback on this about the importance of actually having a two-way messaging channel. So we've now implemented the inverse. So we have Message Child, and it is currently GA. It is now part of the dialog API requirement set 1.2. So here I've just got some more info on the shape of the API and also the parameters. So essentially it accepts a string and doesn't return anything. So anything that you can serialize can be sent. And so yeah, and I've just got some resources here for how you use it. So we have a few sections in the dialog documentation that walks you through how to set this up. And then also I've got the availability of 1.2. So on desktop, it is going to be available starting from the January fork as it slowly rolls out. So that's it from me. If you guys have any questions.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, toss them in the chat. Lillian's going to stick around on the call and answer them and paste those links in there as well. So yeah. Encourage you to try it out, visit our documentation for the new samples, and this is in GA. So
yeah, it is in GA now. So everyone, please go and try it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lillian.
Yeah, thanks.
Of course. Up next, we have Onar, who's going to talk about the upcoming PowerPoint APIs. So you on the call, Onar?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Alexander. Hello, everyone. My name is Onur, and I'm a senior software engineer here in the PowerPoint extensibility team. I'm here with Amit. He's a principal program manager in the team. And today we'll briefly talk about some of the feature plans for PowerPoint Office.js extensibility story and give you a quick demo for the first API we have in the private preview. When we started this journey, so we had some research and contacted some of the add-in developers for PowerPoint, and we asked about their take, their feedback. We mainly try to understand their scenarios. So based on this, we came up with these buckets, which we try to find the most frequently used add-in scenarios. The most common operations were around slide level manipulation, and the most common one along those was inserting a slide from an external source. The next bucket was around shape manipulation and shape level operations. And we could also see there were a lot of usage around shape tags and custom XML, like to save the add-in state, for example. So we decided to have this crawl, walk, and run approach where we start small but gain momentum as we expose more functionality. And we can gather feedback as we go along. We possibly change directions if needed. So with this in mind, we started with an API that allows add-in developers to insert slides from other presentations. We will see a live demo on this shortly. The next set, which is also currently in development, is about the slide level operations like enumerating, adding new slides, deleting slides. Then we will be focusing on the shape level operations, which is much more deep and has many more branches, like text bodies and properties. So we would like to go through this journey with our users and developers. We would be really appreciative to gather your feedback throughout this. So some of the things we start showing today might change depending on the feedback we receive. And keeping this in mind, let's get to a quick demo on this. So as I mentioned before, this is going to be about inserting slides from other presentations. For this purpose, I'm going to use PowerPoint Online and ScriptLab to demo the API. Here I have inserted 4 slides, but before we start, I want to make sure that you can follow me better. So I have also written down the slide IDs of these slides into them. So PowerPoint uses some identifiers to keep and distinguish slides. One common identifier is the slide ID, and this is coming from the old Visual Basic for Applications model. We might even have some desktop application add-in developers here who might already be familiar with this concept. But there's also an extension to this called like creation ID, which I will touch soon. But you will all be able to get these through slide level APIs we will publish. Usually an add-in developer does not need to know or tackle with these. You just get it through the APIs and use them directly. So I have my 4 slides here. I have the ScriptLab pane here. And in the code side of the ScriptLab, I have some little content, which is actually just a file input box, which looks like which acts like a system file picker dialog from the user, so that we can specify the presentation we want to insert. And in the script side of things, we have some boilerplate code to take that file and create the base64 encoded version of that file in a string here. So the interesting piece here is where we call PowerPoint.run using a presentation that inserts slides from base64. The only required parameter here is a string of the string-based representation of the presentation we want to insert in base64 encoded format. So if I just run this call and go back to my ScriptLab pane here, I can choose a file, and I have prepared some color-coded presentations so we can differentiate those. So for example, I can choose a blue presentation to be inserted. Then I can see that presentation slides are inserted into my deck nicely. I also have some additional slides here in another presentation. I created those here. And this is just like a few slides with some shapes on it using the default white theme background. And if I choose that file, we should be able to see those slides are inserted into my deck properly. Going back to the code, we also support some optional parameters here. The good thing about this is the second parameter here is actually an object which contains a key value pairs of optional parameters. The nice thing about this is we can add additional optional parameters in the future. While extending the functionality, we can keep the backwards compatibility there. So one of the parameters that I want to talk about is the formatting option. We can use destination theme or keep source formatting. as similar to how paste works. The keep source formatting is the default option, and I'm going to demonstrate the use destination theme this time to use the existing theme as the input. So if I choose the same file here again, this time my slides are inserted using my current theme, which I had green background here. But I also keep those slides with the shapes and their content. Going back to code, another parameter I would like to talk about is the target slide ID, which is the position of the slides that I want to insert. In this parameter, I can give a slide ID, which I have mentioned earlier, along with the creation ID for my creation ID, which is kind of in this format, but I don't have to provide creation ID here, or if I don't want an exact match, basically. But I will show an example detailing that in a second. So for example, in this version, I'm saying we should insert this presentation into the point position after slide ID 257 in my deck. So I'm going to expect it to appear right here. So going back to the demo, let's choose another file this time, like the red presentation. And now I can see that's added after slide 257 here. In the next example, I'm going to replace this and so this is the next parameter I want to talk about. This is the source slide IDs, which contains a list of slide IDs we want to choose from the source slide. So this means I want to choose slide 258 and 259 from the presentation I provide. And if I go back to my original presentation, this means I would like to insert these last two slides into the deck. Let's go back and try it out. And yes, those two slides are inserted. At this point, I can also try to explain a bit on the creation IDs. So I extracted the creation IDs of the document that I just showed earlier. I can also write this down exactly as it is, or I can omit the slide ID part here. This should work exactly identical to the previous case. So if I do the same thing again, I'm going to get those 258 and 259 again without any problems. So the last example I'm going to talk about will be of combination of all these parameters. So I would like to insert this presentation using destination theme after slide 257, and I would like to insert 257 and 258 from my source slides. This means I'm going to expect two slides added right here using the destination theme from my source presentation. Let's do that. And there they are. So this is all we would like to show you today, a glimpse of what's coming up. As we mentioned before, we appreciate any feedback you may have for us. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to post them. And this is all. Thank you, Alexander.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's some questions that we can come back to during the Q&A section, but overall, how would you recommend people get you feedback?
We can definitely use the user voice side, and I will, like this is currently in the private preview. We will be going to public preview, public beta soon, and throughout our documentation and throughout the documentation link of this presentation, we will provide the right channel to send us the feedback.
I just pasted my email address so folks can just email me directly.
Okay, thank you, Amit. Amit is a principal program manager on the PowerPoint extensibility team. So yeah, can answer your questions very good and respond to your feedback. So yeah, please keep sharing the scenarios you have. We're interested not only like the APIs you need, but like what you're trying to enable, so we can kind of think about this holistically and try to help as many people as possible. So yeah, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please type in the chat. Okay, so now I believe next up is Infor. So let me share. Do we have the Infor people on right now? Ready to go?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Nick. Yeah, do you want to take it away and share?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nick Gladkov. I'm product manager of Infor DEPM. First of all, thank you for the previous presentations. I already have some ideas about the PowerPoint and how can we start using these ones. So yeah, thank you. And that's my first participation in your Microsoft user group calls. I also found that we have a little bit more than I thought. I was limiting myself to 15 minutes for all three parts, but it looks like we have somewhere between 15 and 25 minutes, I guess. So maybe we will just cover a little bit more on that call. Very quickly about myself. I am working with performance management area with things around budgeting and planning, performance management, reporting, and everything around that, where Excel traditionally is still being probably the most popular tool doing these tasks ever. So it doesn't matter how many performance management tools do we have on the market, still Excel being probably the most popular and the most powerful tool for the key finance users. So all my life, I've been working with different tools like Oracle, SAP, Infor, and so on. We've been working very closely with Excel just because we cannot replace it. We really need to work together with Excel. And that's probably what will be the focus for today's call as well, where we will talk about how we continue working together with Microsoft Excel in a way of improving our own product by working together with Microsoft tools. We also have Vid Holy. He's the product owner of Excel interface, working together with Infor DEPM tool. And Vid is the key person who is driving all the ideas and the new features into that product. And he's working with Microsoft Teams for around 4 years now, as you will see in a second. And finally, we have Volodymyr, who is our senior UX designer, and he will share his experience working with Excel from the perspective of creating the beautiful UI for the end users, which is honestly a little bit new task for us compared to the old Excel add-ins that we had around 30 years ago. So that's a plan. That's our team that will cover these topics today. Very quickly, I don't plan to spend a lot of time on slides. I'm not a fan of the slides. It's more about the live demonstration. So I will cover what is Infor, what is Infor DEPM, how do we work with Excel, and how we were working with Excel before. And then I will switch to quick live demonstration of our current Excel integration product. And then same will continue with his part of the live demonstration, and we will switch to Volodymyr to also speak about the UX and UI. And then we'll come back to it just to finalize and kind of have a summary of where we are today. So Infor. Infor, it's kind of a hidden company, which is actually quite large. So we have almost 20,000 employees worldwide, and we're working with key companies in all of the industries. And that's just a quick slide where whatever industry you choose, you will always see different Infor products. It's not only performance management, so we have plenty of other solutions. You might heard about Infor LN, Infor M3, or BAN, the old name of LN, Sun Systems, and then many other products. Again, we don't want to speak about that. We also quickly share that we have plenty of customers. And again, I don't want to sell Infor today. It's more about that, again, it's a large company that are working with big number of customers worldwide, all around the world with different countries. With DEPM, that's probably more relevant information over here, and I can quickly say that the company was based about 30 years ago, where from the start we were working with Excel. Again, about almost 31 years ago. It was in November or end of October 1988. Then in 2006, we were part of the Infor family, and that's where we started to work as a one single product family for all the different industries, for different areas as well. What is important here is that from 2015, we started to look how we can redesign the whole product, not just one component, but the whole thing in a new services architecture vision, because we wanted to support the modern way of how technologies works. We want to know how we want to be able to work with the cloud. And kind of with that message also, we started to look into Excel. So in 2016, we started to build a new first prototypes of working with JavaScript API and how DEPM can work together with Excel. Then we were looking more into the cloud. In 2018, we released version 12, the key version that I will be showing today. And that's the first version which works for both cloud, on-premise, and so on. Again, the key message that I want to deliver here is all these years from 2016 to 2020, we will continue developing the Excel integration for DEPM. And we did a lot of beta versions, and customers were working with the versions in 2018, 19, until earlier this year, we released Excel integration as a GA version. So that's what we are, again, I will show you today. In terms of the past, what was before 2016, we had this Excel add-in, which was based on the Visual Basic and a lot of other programming. We were really kind of hacking Microsoft Excel in unsupported way, or it was a supported way, but it was not a native way of working with Excel. And we were using this Excel interface for everything. We were doing the modeling of the customer models. They were creating cubes, dimensions, rows. They were doing the ad hoc reporting. They were doing the proper development. And as a matter of fact, my first project about 16 years ago was based on the Visual Basic development together with DEPM and Excel. And we had some issues. We had no way working with web. We had no way of having this same interface for Windows and for Mac. It also means so this hacking meant that every time where Microsoft was releasing new features and new versions, we had to be kind of quite, I would say, I don't know, creative to find a new way how we can put all the old features in the new world of Excel. So, and also it kind of looked from 20th century and not as a modern application. So that's why we looked at all these use cases where the customers were doing the reporting, the analysis, budgeting and planning and modeling, and said, let's keep it more simple, and we removed the modeling. Okay, and it's not a development tool, it's an end user, and who is a business user, they are not technical, and we want to focus on the normal end user tasks, reporting, analysis, and budgeting and planning. So that's how the new Excel integration started around 4 or 5 years ago. And the whole idea was about using the latest features of Excel, working directly with Microsoft team. And again, we probably will mention that we are working with your team for a long time. Also easy maintenance, updates, and we have more platforms, Mac, Windows, integration with web, new UI, which looks quite cool. And we will talk about this today as well. So that's just a very quick introduction of what we are doing today and how we get where we get And I will spend another minute or so on the live demonstration what we achieved. So what we have is just a normal Excel, and I started with some simple template of budgeting and planning example where a company who sells tires, they want to understand what will happen in the next budget for the next year. They have some information about the previous year or previous 2 years in that example. What is my budget for this year? What is the percentage of the change? And some other Excel features to show this in the nice and visual way. What is important is I have my whole budget for each month and ability to comment and do some other things like I can change the analysis dimensions and see whether I do this for the sales volume or for the price or for the revenue, for the whole company or for the department. Let me reload just to make sure that I still have a connection. Yes, I do. That's good. We have a pane here. We have just our own kind of right pane with different features, and every single value on that spreadsheet is a formula, either normal Excel formula or a formula to DEPM, where in this case we have our own info.something, and we're connecting to our cube, we're connecting to the data, and we're just taking this from different coordinates, which you can see on the screen. This is going both ways. I can only read values with info read value, or I can write back as well with info get value or info write value, a couple of others. I can also enable write back mode, and I can do some cool things. I can say I want to copy my actual values from the last year, and this will be sent to the OLAP cube, and I will copy that column to that column. I could say just copy that column, but it's cool when I go to the OLAP, something is happening in the OLAP cube behind the scene, and then it's getting back to the screen over here. I can also do some other things where I can say I want to increase it by 5% after I copy it, and other things I can say, yeah, that's cool, but what about if I just write value over here without thinking that I want to increase it by 5, 10% and so on. So some of the features that every single finance controller on Earth will love, and they will say, yeah, that's exactly what I need. And that's what we are doing today with Excel integration. Yeah, we also can do the text values, but that's probably doesn't really matter for this call today. That's very quick summary of where we are today. We can do this other things where we can change the formulas, and we actually taking the information from the spreadsheet and putting them into the pane, and can change something and can send it back to the spreadsheet, and that will update the whole values again. I guess that's all I wanted to cover in this quick overview. Vit, if you can take over and continue that.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Hello, everyone. So before I will start, I will just quickly tell you that I'm working with the Excel API for more than 10 years. I was working with SDK, COM, and primary interop assemblies, also with VSTO, and also the old add-in, the Office Plus one. Was using even sheet macro functions. So all of that technologies, old technologies were used there. Now we turned to the new API, the Office add-ins, and I must say it's quite good experience, especially with the support from Microsoft. But let me show you our application. So first of all, this is a development environment, but it's running on cloud. So we are using Amazon for that. So I pick a tenant. I have here one predefined, and I will just connect. And what's happening is that we now are in navigation page. All of these items are now inside pane. We are planning to move them to Ribbon, but first we are waiting for some things to get supported. But I will talk about it a bit later. For now, what I wanted to show you is ways how to get the formulas into the sheet. So there are a couple of ways. One is that you will do some horizontal elements. For instance, when you want rows, then or columns. In this case, it will be columns. So I can just select some items and press add. It will generate the elements from the OLAP cube. Similarly, vertical. So for instance, I will show products and I want, for instance, tire level and mark all of them and so on. Similarly, we can add one value and so on, but it's something you would do when you really want some customized report. The main story here is that if you want to do some analysis, some ad hoc analysis for that, we have other tools, but we are planning to support them also natively in the Excel. For now, I need to switch to our self-service application. It's a web-based application where you can actually do any analysis you want. I don't want to bother you with the background here. If you are interested, you can find more details in 4 pages. But let's say I want to I want to focus on Europe because I'm from Czech Republic. So let me select elements for the region and I will select Europe and I will select multiple items and I want just Europe and some of the countries nearby. So let's have it like this. And I don't want all tires. I want a specific level, so I will select level tire, and again it should update. And I want to compare budget and actuals, so I will select elements, not variants, but these two, and how to get this report into the Excel quickly. That was our goal. We were thinking initially that we would have here some kind of export when we would put our add-in into the Excel workbook and that workbook would be opened and so on. But we realized then that actually it's not really flexible solution because then we have one workbook per one report. So what we did, we have here some copy functionality. So we copy the report definition, and what we can do is that we are just going to the sheet, and we will use this self-service report to get it there. Here we have some options to have it enabled with the write-back or without write-back. Write-back means that I can type the values in the spreadsheet and it will get into the database as it was already shown by Nick. So when I add the report, it will automatically generate the spreadsheet report for you. You see that we have the formulas here. So if I want to change measure, for instance, I can edit the formula and say I want gross margin, and it should update. I can revert back because I want to show you write back and gross margin is calculated, so it's not possible. As you can see, I have here the cross join, so combination of the regions and products. And if I want to write back, I will just enable write back mode. And let's say I want to change value for Europe and this product, so line 19. So I can change actuals and budget. So for instance, I will type 1,000 and budget will be 2,000. And all of that is live and is going to database. This can be slow. So for that, because of the automatic calculation, if you have really large report, every time you type the value, the report is being recalculated. For that reason, we implemented a special way how to handle the solution with the manual calculation. So actually, I can go here and type, for instance, 1000 everywhere. And if I recalculate, it should get into all of them. You see, I have everywhere still the formulas. Speaking about development, I mentioned that it's a quite different story with the Office.js, and that's because Microsoft development team, it's you know, when we started 4 years ago, it was a bit hard because there were some proofs of concept. At the time being, I was speaking with Michael Saunders, who left the company, if I'm not mistaken. And the API from Microsoft were not really huge, let's say. There were many things missing. For instance, there were no custom functions. So we had some workaround solution using a native if formula for that, doing the proof of concept. There was no ribbon, for instance, and as I'm mentioning the UI things, I would pass word to Volodya just to give you quick feedback or his experience with the designing of the stuff.
Thanks, Vid. My name is Volodymyr, and I'm working as a UX designer in Infor. I've been into development of this DPM plugin for the last 2 years, and we went through hundreds of ideas and design solutions on our way. Our plugin is all about working with the remote data, and the amount of the data can be huge. So we need to partially cope with it within the limited area of the plugin. One of the solutions to do this is to always show only relevant data to the selection user does. We provide only the information the user needs to use now. And our interface adapts in response throughout the working process. When Vid can click on different cells, the report, the plugin gonna be changing and showing, yes, different data. Other is to squeeze more into this plugin. But here we have to carefully guide and explain user what he sees, what happens, and what is expected to happen. We try to solve it with the color, with the size, with animations. And with animation, we try to explain where the data came from and where it goes and where it belongs to. I wouldn't say that everything went smooth on our way. And in the beginning, we almost every day faced with some limitations and features that bounded our ideas. And I'm happy to say that now, after 2 years, it's quite rare that we have to fit somehow design solutions or avoid obstacles. But still, we're patiently waiting for some features to be implemented, like setting the width of the plugin by the code and not by the user, or to improve top ribbon functionality to have enabling, disabling, showing, hiding elements. With it, we would be able to deeper integrate our product into the Excel itself. Thank you, Vid.
Yep. As you mentioned, we are patiently awaiting some of the features. It would be really nice, for instance, to get a possibility to define a minimum width, because right now user can create really small width, and then the UI is not really looking very well, but or it's looking very well compared to what we have available here, you know. But also there are some other things I would like to mention. For instance, storing the credentials like in the browser would be a really nice feature to have there. Maybe shared authentication between the workbooks, similarly as it is on Mac, where the cookies are being shared, but with the Edge Web View, it's not shared. However, all of that is being handled with Microsoft. The Microsoft team does a really great job here, I would say, because whenever we have some problem or some issue, they try to help us. They help us to really succeed. So, for instance, we are requiring some API for improving our edit UI, like the precedents. So it was discussed on quite a deep level with the Microsoft guys. Similarly, for the write-back scenarios, there are some improvements which we need to, for instance, support copy-paste of the values to the database and so on. Also, there were some initial issues with the deployment of the add-in, let's say, because we are using multi-tenant cloud. It was then resolved using centralized deployment. Again, it was provided by Microsoft, so great job there. Also, what I like is the communication level with the guys, especially Keor and Raymond. They do really great stuff there. And for that, I think that's all from our side. Maybe if you have some questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vit. And yeah, thank you all for sharing your story and not just the add-in, but like your experience developing it. I mean, I think we have plenty of time for questions in the chat. I just want to ask, like, since there are a lot of developers on this call, is there any advice you'd give them as they're starting to develop their own add-ins or working on their own add-ins?
Definitely, they should take a look on ScriptLab. Also, the PNP samples. That's pretty cool idea to start with the samples and learn through the practice. Start developing immediately, not reading, just writing the code and playing with that. That would be my advice. Awesome. And whenever they have problem, reach the Microsoft. They are really open in GitHub.
Awesome. Yeah, we try to respond through GitHub. The Office.js repo is there if you have issues or user voice. I know Onar was mentioning that for the PowerPoint APIs, but we do use user voice to help prioritize new feature requests and see what the community needs. Also for samples and the PNP, we're working on a new patterns and practice around open in Excel. I saw Kara mentioning that in the chat. The idea that you can open an Excel workbook with your add-in already there. So that'll be a cool feature for y'all to try out and for our developers in the audience. So with that, we'll go to the Q&A portion of this. So I've seen Kara in the chat answering some questions. We did have a question about undo support. Yeah, and it is supported in PowerPoint. You did see that correctly, that they were able to undo the result of an add-in, and that is something we're looking into for Excel. But just help share your experiences and know that we know that's a pain point for some developers. Gary, is there anything you'd like to speak to on that, or any of the other questions you've seen in the chat?
Thanks, Alex. I think in general, really the theme around hey, this community call and the chats are great because they give us just a opportunity to also understand, hey, some of the things that we may have heard in the past that are still pressing. So a few of the themes that popped up today were around undo redo inside of Excel, as well as our mobile strategy. And so I think for both of those, I think we'll continue to work with partners like Infor and the broader community through our different channels on user voice, GitHub, and Stack Overflow to just continue to understand, hey, what are the critical things or what are the next things as we continue to evolve the platform? And I'd say really our goal is as workflows become modernized, they've moved from just individual desktop-based workflows to things that are more collaborative, where now you're accessing your data in a variety of contexts, as well as in the browser, within Microsoft Teams, with the Office apps embedded, or even mobile. And so it'll be great for us to continue to iterate and deliver great experiences no matter where you are.
Awesome, thank you. Would you also like to give a shout out for the Ignite sessions that we're doing?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So on the add-ins, so on our team we have 4 Ignite sessions to call out. So the first one is around Office scripts, and so we've talked about the scripting and Power Automate integration that's currently available for Excel for web. So we'll have a what's new session there. So definitely worth checking out. One of the pieces of feedback we've heard from developers is when they've started to speak to IT admins or end users, that admins may not be aware of the store, and as such, they may have this store disabled within their organizations. And so we're taking this opportunity to have a session around that's targeted not for developers, but for IT professionals and IT admins around increasing your productivity. And so we'll have a demo that with a sample scenario that takes a few of the add-ins, a few of them that we presented on this community call, and tells a story around, hey, how add-ins help organizations become more productive. And then we'll also talk a bit more about how that new add-in model helps in terms of management to IT admins and how it's more secure and how deployment is a lot easier. And so we'll hope to help beat that drum. In addition to that, we have 2 sessions on what's new on the platform. So one is what's new in Outlook. So we'll have a video session there with a partner, and then on the Excel side, we'll have a what's new session within Excel. For the most part, it will be a recap of things that you have seen on this community call, but there's 3 things. We talked about the open in Excel. We'll have some demos on shortcut keys and contextual tabs, which are approaching private preview and will be publicly available for beta later this fall. Hope y'all virtually attend Ignite and watch the videos. And then I'm particularly keen on the IT admins or the increased productivity session, because we're hoping, hey, when you're having conversations with your customers who are new to the web add-in model, that video can serve as something you can pass along to them.
Awesome. And I believe Ignite is September 22nd through the 24th. And signups are now. So yeah, hop on. We'll post the links. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I think that's it for the call today. We'll stay on the chat if you have any additional questions or anything. If you want to keep talking with us, or if you'd like to engage with us, provide feedback, or if you're interested in presenting, your add-in on an upcoming call, you can visit AKMS Office Add-ins Engage and share that with us. You can also tell us about your experience building add-ins. We are running a survey, Office Dev Satisfaction, just to see what's been easy, what's been hard, and kind of help you along and understand that journey. And if you're completely new to Office add-ins, you can take a look at our 5-minute quick starts to get an add-in up and running in 5 minutes. You can start playing around with the APIs in ScriptLab. I know Vit gave a shout out to that. It's a great tool. It's an add-in that sits in Excel or PowerPoint or Word and or Outlook, and lets you develop use the add-in APIs in there. Or if you're looking to automate more simple Excel tasks, check out Office Scripts. It's a lightweight automation solution for Excel for the web. We also have these developer resources. If you need to get an Office or a Microsoft 365 tenant, head over on to the developer program. You can start testing out add-ins there on a custom dev tenant. You can engage with us on Stack Overflow using those tags, or on GitHub. Use user voice to let us know what features you need in the product. Finally, this is one of many of the M365 developer community calls. If you're interested in Teams development or SharePoint, head on over to these calls. We'll have all this information in the follow-up blog post that'll be posted with this on the developer blog and in the YouTube video that'll get uploaded later. And we'll post more information about that recap in the chat. So yeah, thank you everyone. The next call is going to be October 14th, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So please join us then. Thank you very much to everyone who presented and joined in today. Take care.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.